Bonjour tout le monde. Alors, ça nous fait un grand plaisir de vous accueillir à HEC Montréal, campus Decelles. Vous avez reçu plusieurs courriels pour qu'on vous rappelle que c'était bien ici et non au pavillon principal auquel vous êtes davantage habitués. Donc, on va vous expliquer un peu la genèse de l'activité et pourquoi on se retrouve ici. Je suis accompagné de Denis Lagacé, de la Chaire Iris à l'Université du Québec à Trois-Rivières. Donc, essentiellement, on se retrouve ici parce que, bon, l'organisation de tout ça, c'est fait vers la fin de l'été. Ça faisait un petit bout de temps que Denis et moi, on avait l'intention de réunir les gens pour une réflexion autour des salles de pilotage. Et l'occasion de rencontrer Sam McPherson ou d'avoir été mis en contact avec Sam McPherson, ça a comme accéléré les choses. Donc, on a une connaissance en commun, Jacob Stroller, qui est l'auteur du livre « Lean CEO », à qui j'avais parlé. Il savait qu'il se passait des choses au Québec en santé et services sociaux du côté des salles de pilotage. Et ce dernier a parlé à Sam. Sam est en train d'écrire un livre sur les salles de pilotage, un livre qui sera publié dans un an environ, vers la fin de l'année prochaine, si tout se passe bien. Donc, de fil en aiguille, on a parlé à Sam et, bref, on a organisé cet événement où on aura aussi la chance d'avoir 3 PDG du réseau de la santé qui vont venir partager leur expérience. On a aussi Julie Mercier de Chaudière-Appalaches qui va nous parler du modèle de déploiement. Donc, une belle demi-journée à vous présenter. Denis et moi, dans quelques instants, on va introduire le sujet pour ceux qui ne sont peut-être pas du réseau de la santé, juste pour vous mettre un peu à niveau, puis vous dire un peu où est-ce qu'on en est dans nos expériences, dans nos réflexions. Donc, je ne l'ai peut-être pas mentionné, mais mon nom est Sylvain Landry. J'oublie toujours. Donc, je suis directeur associé du pôle santé. Et on aura aussi Marie-Hélène qui va vous adresser la parole, qui va animer le panel de PDG. Donc, Marie-Hélène, également professeure à HEC, directrice associée au pôle santé. Elle était longtemps directrice du pôle. Et on a Denis Chenevert qui est assis ici, qui est notre nouveau directeur depuis un an et quelques mois déjà. Donc, Denis est tout juste à côté des casques d'écoute pour ceux qui veulent la traduction simultanée. Donc, la présentation de Sam sera en anglais. Et donc, ceux qui ont besoin de cette traduction, n'hésitez pas à vous procurer ce casque et nous le remettre à la fin de la journée, bien entendu. If some of you speak English, we have translation both ways. So you'll be able to hear our CEOs and so on, so you can, again, take one of those headsets. Donc, avant d'aller plus loin, j'ai plein de petites choses à vous dire. J'ai déjà commencé à le faire. Donc, côté cuisine, les présentations d'aujourd'hui sont filmées et on verra, selon les autorisations de l'un et l'autre, comment rendre disponibles ces présentations si on peut le faire. Il y a la CVPAC qui est un de nos partenaires pour l'événement, donc qui est un moyen de diffusion via leur réseau à eux. Le pôle santé a aussi une chaîne YouTube. Donc, tous nos séminaires, toutes nos activités passées, vous pouvez les revoir sur la chaîne YouTube du pôle santé. Donc, bref, beaucoup d'informations de ce côté et de l'information sur aujourd'hui qui viendra s'ajouter. Les PowerPoint comme tels aussi seront disponibles ultérieurement. Je parlais des casques d'écoute pour la traduction simultanée. C'est important lors de la période de questions, donc après la présentation de Sam, après le panel et après la présentation de Julie Mercier, il y aura une période de questions. C'est important de poser vos questions au micro. pour que les gens qui utilisent le casque puissent être en mesure d'entendre votre question et la réponse selon. Sam a également un casque de façon à ce que si vous posez votre question en français, il puisse l'entendre. Donc, assurez-vous d'utiliser les micros, s'il vous plaît. Côté cuisine également, à la pause qui devrait avoir lieu à 3 heures, à la pause, le café sera disponible derrière l'amphi. Donc, certains d'entre vous avaient déjà pris un café. Donc, il faut prendre les sorties d'en bas et non d'en haut. Donc, secours derrière, mais pour le café, c'est devant et faire le tour. Donc, le café est juste derrière. Et le cocktail réseautage, à la fin de la journée, va être dans l'atrium ou le petit salon à l'entrée de cet étage-ci. Okay? Donc, on aura un petit peu plus d'espace pour bouger là, à ce moment-là. Donc, c'est juste à côté, vous verrez. Pour la pause, les toilettes, c'est par là-bas, un peu plus loin. Donc, il n'y a pas de toilettes à proximité, je pense. Je dis « je pense » parce que je ne viens pas souvent ici. C'est ici que j'ai fait mon bac, mais l'école a été complètement rénovée il y a quelques années et c'est nouveau également pour moi. Donc, je devrais faire des gambas sans doute plus souvent. Donc, ça, c'est pour ça. Ça, j'en ai parlé. Je pense que ça, c'est bon. Dans les choses que je voulais mentionner, j'ai mentionné brièvement la collaboration d'une part avec la Chaire Iris. Tout ce phénomène des salles de pilotage dans le réseau de la santé, bien, ça origine d'abord de Denis Lagacé de la Chaire Iris. Donc, vous l'avez en personne. Donc, c'est lui. C'est généralement pas poli de pointer du doigt, là, mais il faut rendre à César ce qui est à César. Donc, collaboration étroite entre la Chaire Iris et le pôle santé. Collaboration avec la CVPAC, donc la communauté virtuelle en amélioration de pratique, communauté virtuelle de pratique en amélioration continue. Je sentais qu'il me manquait une lettre. Donc, la CVPAC nous soutient dans cette activité. Vous pouvez rejoindre la CVPAC. Plusieurs d'entre vous êtes déjà membres, mais je vous rappelle qu'il y a énormément d'informations qui se retrouvent sur leur site Web, sur les salles de pilotage et sur toutes sortes de choses qui touchent l'amélioration continue des processus dans le réseau de la santé. Il y a un énorme partage. C'est une formule unique, initiée par le réseau pour le réseau et gérée pour le réseau. Donc, c'est quelque chose de notable. La CVPAC organisera son 6e rendez-vous annuel de l'amélioration continue en mai prochain. C'est le 2, 3 et 4 mai. Ça va se dérouler à Laval. Les 2 organisations qui parrainent l'événement sont 2 de nos 3 panélistes, donc le Centre-Sud, le CIUS du Centre-Sud de l'île de Montréal et le CIS de Laval. Donc, on les remercie. Le thème du colloque de cette année, et c'est tout en fait en lien avec la présentation d'aujourd'hui et l'expertise de Sam McPherson, notre conférencier invité, notre leadership au cœur de la transformation du réseau. Okay? Donc, je vous invite à surveiller plus d'informations sur ce rendez-vous annuel qui est à chaque année quelque chose de très, très couru et très, très bien fait, très, très réussi. L'autre chose que je veux mentionner avant de parler des salles de pilotage à proprement parler, le partenariat avec la coop HEC. Donc, vous êtes officiellement au 3e étage, l'étage numéro 3, parce qu'ici, le sous-sol est l'étage 1, alors que le premier étage dans l'autre building, c'est le 3e étage. Enfin, je ne sais pas si vous êtes mêlés, mais bref, vous êtes au 3e étage, même si vous avez l'impression d'être au 2e, et la coop est au 2e étage, ce qui est comme le premier. Donc, en dessous de nous, il y a la coop HEC, près de l'entrée principale, et vous retrouverez à l'entrée, il y a une table avec toutes sortes de livres sur le lean management. Donc, la coop, en lien avec cet événement, a préparé un petit présentoir de livres intéressants pour vous en français et en anglais. D'ailleurs, Daniel a fait la question de quelques volumes. Je ne sais pas si tu veux les montrer. Non, ça va. Donc, le dernier de Mike Rotter sur Toyota Kata Culture. Donc, bref, vous pouvez trouver ça à la coop HEC, soit à la pause ou à la fin de la journée. Je pense que j'ai tout mentionné, sinon de vous parler quelques instants du pôle santé. Donc, on est un centre de recherche qui fait du transfert. Donc, on est un centre de transfert en langage HEC. Donc, on fait de la formation. On a un micro-programme en amélioration des processus et de la performance en santé et services sociaux. On donne de la formation pour cadres. On fait de la recherche, beaucoup de recherche-action. On accompagne les organisations dans la transformation pour différents volets. Et avec l'arrivée de Denis Chenevert, comme directeur du pôle, on a ajouté un important volet santé au travail également. Transfert, je pointe en particulier nos séminaires que vous pouvez suivre en présentiel les mardis, les jeudis, midi aux 3 semaines environ, ou par web diffusion, donc c'est gratuit. Le prochain événement est le 9 novembre et parlera de logistique hospitalière avec l'expérience du CIUS de l'Est. Donc, voilà. Alors, juste pour vous introduire le sujet des salles de pilotage, pour mettre un peu tout le monde à niveau, pour ceux qui ne sont pas du réseau de la santé, quelques définitions. Et je vais lire la définition, ce qui est généralement pas une bonne stratégie, mais chaque mot a son importance. Donc, ce dont on parle, la salle de pilotage, est un espace dédié où se rencontrent régulièrement les acteurs d'une organisation pour faire le point sur la performance actuelle et engager la discussion pour améliorer la performance future. La salle de pilotage a comme objectif la mise à contribution de tous les acteurs à la performance organisationnelle, ainsi qu'un accès direct et constant aux informations, ce qui permet une collaboration plus étroite et un plus grand investissement de chacun. Pour ceux qui font la traduction simultanée, je lis sans doute trop vite, mais vous avez le document, là, ce qui est un moindre mal, j'espère. Les murs de la salle, puis le mot « mur » est important, je vais y revenir dans quelques instants. Les murs d'une salle de pilotage sont entièrement consacrés à l'affichage de tous les outils de pilotage incontournables à la conduite des projets et à la gestion de la performance d'une organisation. Et là, on parle d'affichage et le message que Denis et moi avons répété de nombreuses fois dans nos formations, c'est l'importance de faire des choix. On a tendance à vouloir tout mettre, surtout en l'absence des salles tactiques, le temps que les salles tactiques, les salles dans chaque direction prennent place. Donc, on a tendance à amener tout au sommet et on tombe là dans le piège que voici. Plutôt que d'avoir un tableau de bord, un dashboard, on se retrouve un peu devant un crashboard. Je reviens à l'idée du mur. Notre conférencier invité, Sam McPherson, va vous dire là, dans quelques instants que le mot « salle de pilotage », le buzzword en japonais, et de façon générale, c'est le terme « obeya ». Et en japonais, le mot « obeya » veut dire deux choses, une grande pièce, « a big room », et aussi, il y a une autre définition qui est une pièce sans mur, au sens d'un système de gestion sans barrière, c'est-à-dire où l'information circule librement entre les différents collaborateurs. Donc, si vous entendez Sam parler d'une salle de pilotage sans mur, ne faites pas de crise cardiaque, c'est ce qu'il veut dire. Denis?
Non, merci Sylvain. Donc, on parlait de salle de pilotage, pas de mur, mais en réalité, une salle de pilotage, c'est un vecteur de cohérence. On a eu, depuis les fusions de nos établissements, un grand besoin de cohérence à travers nos organisations, où on devait donner du sens rapidement, et du sens dans une organisation qui se trouvait des milliers d'employés, où est-ce qu'avant on gérait à quelques centaines, voire quelques milliers d'employés. Maintenant, c'est être capable de donner du sens. Et nos organisations sont encore en quête de ce sens-là. Et la salle de pilotage est vraiment l'instrument que je considère comme un des vecteurs, justement, de cette cohérence-là. Donc, ce n'est pas simplement un outil, mais c'est bien une pièce maîtresse qui va encadrer le changement d'une culture vers un système intégré de gestion de la performance. Donc, comme dirait notre Sam McPherson, « Obey the brain of the lean healthcare organization ». Donc, c'est vraiment l'endroit où se discute, où est-ce qu'on réfléchit, où est-ce qu'on va parler de performance, être capable de la communiquer à travers l'ensemble de l'organisation. C'est donc une valeur ajoutée. Au début, on nous disait « Ah ouais, une autre affaire, on n'a pas le temps, nos réunions sont déjà, avec la transformation, on est déjà impliqués, on n'a pas le temps de discuter de ça. » Mais maintenant, avec l'expérience, c'est qu'on se sert de la salle de pilotage pour simplifier, pour être capable d'avoir une écoute aussi active des préoccupations des participants. Puis c'est un moyen privilégié au moment où on standardise aussi beaucoup la discussion à travers différentes dimensions de notre salle de pilotage pour justement favoriser cette cohérence-là. Donc, c'est la valeur ajoutée de la salle aussi, c'est dans le besoin de la cascade de l'information, mais tellement important, l'escalade des préoccupations opérationnelles. Ce qu'on veut aussi, c'est donner, oui, c'est simple, ou c'est plus simple dans notre modèle de gestion traditionnelle, de prendre un objectif stratégique, puis de le décliner. On est bon là-dedans, décliner des planifications stratégiques. On a fait ça depuis des années. On décline en axes, en orientation, enjeux, orientation, axes, objectifs et plans d'action. Mais il faut prendre le temps d'écouter les préoccupations des gens. Préoccupations opérationnelles. C'est les gens, c'est sur le plancher que se crée la valeur. C'est là où est-ce qu'on va vraiment être capable de faire la différence pour notre client. Donc, les salles de pilotage, c'est un moyen privilégié qu'on donne à nos équipes pour être capable de les écouter. Les écouter puis dire « Hey, boss, j'ai un problème opérationnel, j'ai une préoccupation, est-ce qu'on est capable de le régler? » Donc, cette façon d'escalader cette information-là jusqu'au niveau stratégique, les salles de pilotage, via les cellules modèles, entre autres, le permettent et le rendent possible. Hein? C'est un intérêt grandissant aussi. Au départ, on avait eu des formations en 2014, avant les fusions, où on commençait à introduire ces concepts-là, où nos PDG ici étaient venus à Trois-Rivières suivre les formations sur l'intégration des stations visuelles, aux stations tactiques et finalement aux salles de pilotage stratégiques. Et on a le réseau, lors de cette transformation, a pris la balle au bon. Et on en a maintenant de l'intérêt. On a 150 personnes présentes ici. Il y a des gens aussi, levez la main s'il vous plaît, ceux qui ne sont pas du réseau de la santé. Veuillez quitter s'il vous plaît. Okay? Donc, on voit aussi que c'est un intérêt grandissant pour les autres secteurs. Puis, ce n'est pas né dans le réseau de la santé, c'est né beaucoup au niveau manufacturier, mais ça s'étend à d'autres secteurs d'activité. Puis, pas plus tard que jeudi prochain, je reviens à Montréal pour avoir un médecin francophone donner justement une conférence sur l'implication des médecins à travers les salles de pilotage. Donc, l'intérêt est grandissant, tellement qu'on en a fait un article qui est paru en 2016, à l'automne 2016, dans la revue Gestion. Et je pense qu'on a influencé même la rédactrice en chef qui s'est organisée une salle de pilotage avec l'ensemble. Mais on le voit, c'est piloter sa performance, c'est piloter ce qui est important. C'est ce qui est majeur pour nous autres. J'imagine qu'il y a des deadlines en arrière de tout ça, puis il y a quand même énormément de travail à travers ces revues-là.
Notre article sur le mur.
Oui, c'est vrai. Il l'a mis. Oui. Donc, c'est un déploiement important en santé. C'est des notions, c'est-à-dire c'est des statistiques qui datent de mai dernier. Je discute avec vous autres. On était à Sainte-Justine ce matin, puis on disait vos salles de pilotage opérationnel, le taux de déploiement est quand même assez élevé. Donc, on déploie. Notre conférencière ici, invitée, Julie, va venir nous présenter ce qu'ils font. Puis là, je pourrais passer tout un en arrière de l'autre. Ça va extrêmement rapidement, le déploiement de ces salles de pilotage-là. Donc, ça doit faire du sens. Ça doit répondre à un besoin. Nos salles de pilotage stratégiques ont tous été déployées. Nos pilotages tactiques sont en train de se déployer dans une grande partie de vos organisations à vitesse grand V. Et là, le défi Puis là, c'est là qu'on met le genou à terre, c'est au niveau opérationnel, parce qu'il faut le temps de bien les préparer pour être capable de bien soutenir nos employés dans l'utilisation de ce grand vecteur de cohérence-là. Donc, on va bien, ça va bien, et je parlais justement que, vous savez, pour ceux qui... L'entente de gestion, c'est EGI, non? Oui? Ça vous dit quelque chose? Vous avez dans l'entente jusqu'au le 31 mars 2020 pour avoir implanté déployer 80% des salles de pilotage tactique et opérationnel, donc nos stations visuelles. C'est croire en la démarche, parce que pour ceux qui l'ont implanté, ces salles de pilotage-là, c'est pas juste un tableau sur un mur, hein. Ça va d'un comportement. C'est quoi nos modèles, nos comportements qu'on veut venir enrichir auprès de nos employés, auprès de nos directeurs aussi. Donc, tout ça est encadré dans justement un cadre de référence. On a déployé en collaboration avec HEC aussi une grille de maturité qui guide les établissements dans l'évolution. On ne peut pas tomber sur une grille de maturité au niveau de la maturité de l'utilisation de ces salles de pilotage-là, niveau 5 immédiatement, mais on progresse. Donc là, depuis le mois de septembre, vous avez transféré vos résultats au ministère et ces données-là, justement, vont nous permettre de voir où se situent présentement les établissements et dans quelle direction qu'on veut se rendre. Bien, c'est un déploiement très important. Vous vous reconnaissez à travers ça. Vous avez les salles de pilotage qu'on a ici au niveau de vos équipes, vos stations visuelles, de vos directions, puis des salles de pilotage de vos comités de direction. Puis en contrepartie, on n'est peut-être pas aussi présent au ministère, vous n'êtes peut-être pas aussi présent au ministère, mais nous sommes présents au ministère où on a commencé à déployer des salles de pilotage dans les directions, dans les SMA, au CODIR, je n'ai pas la photo, mais elle existe au CODIR. Et on a animé, il y a eu une première animation au CGR dernier, 16 octobre dernier, une animation du CGR sur 2 priorités organisationnelles, donc l'accessibilité et le soutien à domicile, où nos 2 sous-ministres adjoints sont venus présenter des A3. Tu sais, un A3, quand tu as le docteur Bureau, Mme Jobin, pas parent, Madame présente le A3, puis dit les conditions actuelles, la condition désirée, l'analyse des écarts, nos indicateurs reliés. Je peux vous dire que pour le prof là, qui est en arrière dans la salle, là, ça fait tout un petit lot. Puis là, on commence, on progresse là-dedans. Puis on a aussi des initiatives entre les directions et les directions, donc différentes SMA et les directions. Un exemple, direction justement de soutien à domicile, avec quelques autres directions dans le réseau, ou comment on va commencer à parler, nos salles de pilotage vont se parler. Parce que des fois, on se parle, mais la communication n'est peut-être pas à 100%. Donc, ce qu'on voudrait, c'est qu'à la fois, nos salles de pilotage, on les comprend, nos salles de pilotage dans nos directions ministères, qu'on comprenne les réalités qui se présentent au niveau des établissements, puis qu'il y ait un dialogue, tout ça centré sur quoi? Sur la création de valeur pour l'usager, le patient et sa famille. Donc, tout ça, ça se fait comment? Puis on va avoir une experte qui va venir nous en parler, des cellules modèles. Donc, les cellules modèles, c'est la méthodologie qu'on a beaucoup empruntée à Catalysis, qui a été déployée chez TEDACare, où est-ce qu'on commence avec, en premier lieu, c'est la salle de pilotage stratégique. Puis après ça, on y va direction par direction, mais on va jusqu'au niveau opérationnel. Il faut descendre jusqu'où est-ce que ça crée la valeur. Et c'est là qu'on va avoir des changements dans les comportements, des changements dans le leadership auprès de nos employés, de nos directeurs. Et tranquillement, on tasse sur d'autres directions. Et ceux qui ont été formés là en premier se doivent de former leurs collègues à côté. Donc, c'est le modèle qui est utilisé et à date, je pense que ça porte fruit. Parce qu'on est en respect aussi avec votre capacité. Les DQE, vous êtes beaucoup des directions qualité-performance, vous avez des bonnes équipes, mais on est toujours limité par le nombre de ressources. Donc, si on veut être capable de déployer, faire du sens, pour avoir des résultats positifs, après ça, on va l'étendre dans l'organisation, vous avez une capacité et le modèle, le cellule, semble être le modèle qui répond mieux à votre besoin. Sylvain?
Nous sommes des institutions universitaires, que ce soit HEC Montréal ou l'uqtr, donc juste prendre quelques instants pour vous parler de recherche en cours. D'abord, Hélène Vallière-Goulet, qui est ici présente en deuxième rangée, fait son mémoire de maîtrise Sur les salles de pilotage, j'ai pesé une fois, mais en fait, j'ai pesé 2 fois. Donc, les outils de mesure de la performance et le contrôle stratégique, le cas de la salle de pilotage stratégique dans les établissements de santé et de services sociaux du Québec. Donc, elle utilise, puis je n'entrerai pas dans les détails, là, elle utilise le modèle de Simons quant au levier de contrôle. Ici, il faut faire attention au vocabulaire utilisé. Le contrôle, c'est beaucoup plus large que le contrôle. Et la notion de contrôle en anglais et en français, ce n'est pas exactement la même définition, là. Donc, bref, on n'est pas du tout dans l'univers command and control, là, rassurez-vous. Donc, ce modèle parle de système de croyance, de système de contraintes, de système de contrôle interactif et de système de contrôle diagnostique. En fait, les hypothèses d'Hélène, c'est que, dans le fond, on retrouve les 4 types de contrôle dans les 4 dimensions ou les 4 murs de notre salle de pilotage stratégique autour de plan, do, check, act, là, planifier, do, faire, réaliser, déployer, le côté mesuré et la réponse action. Donc, Hélène pourra répondre à vos questions là, si vous êtes curieux, vous voulez en savoir davantage, soit à la pause ou lors du cocktail. Denis va vous parler de 2 recherches, 2 étudiantes de doctorat, cette fois à l'uqtr.
Vous savez, nos étudiantes au doctorat, nos étudiants, c'est par eux qu'on crée cette nouvelle recherche, cette nouvelle connaissance-là. Nos étudiants nous challenge, on challenge aussi beaucoup nos étudiants, mais c'est par eux que notre connaissance grandit, puis quelque part qu'on est capable de transférer au réseau. Vous nous donnez, c'est immense le cadeau que vous nous faites, vous nous donnez un terrain pour aller expérimenter des concepts qui, some fois, sont très théoriques, mais qu'on est capable de venir expérimenter chez vous, moduler, puis retravailler une nouvelle recherche, puis par la suite, est retransférée dans le réseau. Toute l'histoire des salles de pilotage, c'est parti un peu de ces concepts-là, où est-ce qu'on a remis d'autres concepts de performance, mais on est capable maintenant de pouvoir intéresser des étudiants à faire des doctorats sur ces thèmes-là, des doctorats qui sont directement axés sur vos préoccupations. J'ai une étudiante doctorat, Marie-Claude, ici. Bonjour, Marie-Claude. Regarde les conditions favorables pour créer la cohérence organisationnelle à travers le déploiement de ces salles de pilotage-là. Parce que dans la littérature, la cohérence est un vecteur aussi de performance. Donc, si on est plus cohérent, on devrait être plus performant. C'est ce que Marie-Claude va aller tenter d'expérimenter puis tenter de valider dans différentes études de cas, dont celui en Chaudière-Appalaches et d'autres aussi. Nous avons aussi Lynn Moisan. Lynn? Ben oui. Lynn qui est aussi au DBA. Et ce qu'elle veut en réalité, Lynn, c'est comment mobiliser les capacités organisationnelles. Oui, Lynn, excuse-moi. Comment mobiliser les capacités organisationnelles lors d'une intégration horizontale pour justement générer cette performance-là. Fait que ceux qui ne savent pas c'est quoi, c'est le I du CIUS ou du CIS. Okay? C'est le fameux I. Okay? Donc, l'intégration, c'est à l'origine même de la loi. Comment qu'on est capable de mieux intégrer nos trajectoires, le parcours patient. Puis pour ça, oui, on est peut-être capable de le faire, mais c'est quoi les capacités, c'est quoi les compétences qu'on doit avoir? Puis tout ça à travers le système intégré de gestion de la performance, puis à travers l'animation de nos différentes salles de pilotage, puis la réalisation de différentes activités telles un Kekaku et compagnie. Donc, comment être capable de prendre le Lean ou le système intégré de gestion de la performance, puis venir appuyer cette intégration-là. Donc, ça nous fait réfléchir. On a de longues discussions par rapport à ça. Donc, ça, c'est ce qu'on recherche. J'ai une autre étudiante au DBA qui commence, qui, elle, est infirmière, praticienne. Elle travaille dans un soutien à domicile. Puis, c'est justement toute la performance reliée aux salles de pilotage, mais en soutien à domicile. Donc, maintenant, c'est ce qu'on vous a dit, mais ce que vous nous avez dit. Les salles de pilotage, 1 an et demi, quelques-uns, presque 2 ans que vous êtes dans l'animation des salles de pilotage. Puis c'est quoi les principaux gains que vous en retirez? Okay? Donner un sens au travail accompli par les équipes. Alignement est revenu souvent. Cohérence, alignement, l'engagement. Okay? L'engagement des directeurs pour avoir fait quelques audits là, dans les salles de pilotage. Au départ, c'était encore 15 directeurs ou 17 directeurs qui étaient un après l'un l'autre. Là, maintenant, on a plus un comité de direction où on voit que les préoccupations, les obstacles, on commence à les voir qu'un obstacle au niveau de la DSI, au niveau de l'attribution de certaines ressources humaines, bon, bien, le directeur des ressources humaines va venir contribuer. Il y a vraiment un sens d'engagement qu'on peut ressentir au niveau du comité de direction. Mobilisation des équipes. On a aussi mise en place de fondement d'une réelle culture d'amélioration continue. Partenariat, mobiliser les équipes, améliorer la performance et des soins aux patients. Donc, c'est ce que vous nous avez dit par rapport aux gains. Et on va aller le mesurer. Tu sais, on a des étudiants au doctorat, c'est pas pour rien, c'est qu'ils vont venir mesurer, puis vous avez aussi la maîtrise, c'est quoi l'impact réel de ces salles de pilotage-là? C'est quoi, qu'est-ce que ça donne en fin de compte? Est-ce que c'est vraiment contributeur de valeur? Fait que ça, on va être capable, on va tenter de l'expliquer. C'est quoi les défis, par exemple? Ça, vous en avez beaucoup de défis. Plus mécanique, on dirait. Okay? Donc, on a le déploiement des salles de pilotage, mais aussi vous avez l'appropriation des données par les directeurs. Là, vos directeurs ne rentrent plus de la même façon dans la salle de pilotage. Okay? Puis, excusez-moi, mais c'est plus... j'ose pas dire le mot, là, c'est Sylvain qui me dit de le dire, OK? Denis, tu ne diras pas ça. Je dis, ben oui, Sylvain, c'est correct, je vais le dire si tu veux que je le dise. Tourisme. OK? Donc, on ne vient plus en tourisme dans la salle, dans un comité de direction. On vient équiper, on vient préparer. Parce qu'on sait qu'on va être questionné, puis pas juste questionné, puis justifié, puis contextualisé. On va arriver avec un obstacle. On va arriver, moi, là, pour que mon A3 fonctionne, là, pour que ça aille de l'avant, là, bien, il faut quelque part que je débloque. Là. Puis le comité de direction, hey gang, là, est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider à débloquer ce nœud-là? Fait que le comité de direction, le directeur, quand il arrive préparé. Il a ses chiffres, il a son évolution de ce A3, puis il a communiqué à travers ses directeurs ou ses adjoints à son comité de direction pour faire sortir l'obstacle qui, lui, est communiqué au comité de direction. Donc, disponibilité des directeurs, l'appropriation de l'animation, il y a un naturel, mais des fois, il n'est pas nécessairement toujours là. L'appropriation des données par les directeurs, déploiement des salles de tactique, le respect des rencontres, mais ça se place. En passant, les salles de pilotage, ça fait partie des éléments de rigueur. On ne peut pas dire l'été, on ne fait pas de salle de pilotage. La rigueur ne prend pas de vacances. Donc, ce qu'on veut, c'est d'avoir toujours, parce que ce qu'on veut lancer comme message auprès de nos organisations, c'est que ce vecteur-là, on va l'utiliser pour qu'il vienne nous aider à soutenir la performance. Finalement, les principaux apprentissages qu'on a tirés de l'animation, vision commune. Quand on rentre, tout le monde connaît votre vrai nord. Vous connaissez tout votre vrai nord. Déjà, aligné sur le vrai nord, vision commune, une meilleure compréhension des processus, l'importance du coaching kata. Okay? Donc, l'animation, comment poser un problème, c'est quoi mon défi, c'est quoi ma condition cible, c'est quoi mon défi, c'est quoi mon obstacle, quelles sont l'action. Donc, ces éléments-là, ça amène une standardisation dans l'animation, ce qui est vraiment un apprentissage très important. Le respect des structures d'animation. Donc, plusieurs choses que vous nous avez dit. Si on avait posé ces questions-là, il y a 2 ans, on aurait eu des pages blanches. Fait que c'est tout à votre honneur parce que vous l'expérimentez, puis vous la faites évoluer. Puis avec Sam, qui va venir comme conférencier, ça fait 2 jours qu'on est avec Sam, puis je vous dis, on apprend énormément. Fait qu'on est toujours en mode d'apprentissage. Dans 2 ans, ça va être d'autres choses. Là, aujourd'hui, on est là, puis on vous remercie justement d'être là pour partager. Sylvain?
Merci. Donc, juste pour conclure, en vous reparlant brièvement du plan de match pour l'après-midi, donc, dans quelques instants, Sam va prendre la parole. Là, je vais dire quelques mots pour l'introduire. Et après la présentation de Sam, donc, il y aura une période de questions. Et on prendra la pause à 15 heures. C'est une pause de 30 minutes, puis on vous demande là, d'être vigilant par rapport à ce 30 minutes là, pour qu'on reprenne dès 15h30 avec notre panel que ma collègue Marie-Hélène va animer avec trois PDG, là, Caroline Barbire, Sonia Bélanger et Denis Bouchard. Donc, on les remercie beaucoup là, d'être là. Et comme mentionné, Julie Mercier de Chaudière-Appalaches, du CIS de Chaudière-Appalaches, va venir parler de la mise en place des salles de pilotage et des salles de pilotage stratégique, tactique, opérationnel, donc avec le modèle là, présenté par Denis, évoqué par Denis, là, le modèle des cellules modèles, entre guillemets. À la toute fin, ce qu'on a demandé à Sam, c'est de revenir nous dire quelques mots sur ce qu'il aura entendu de ces échanges. Donc, il pourra, grâce à la traduction simultanée, donc, participer au panel, si on veut. Et donc, on lui demande à la toute fin là, de prendre quelques minutes peut-être là, pour partager certaines réflexions. Et tout doucement, on va se diriger vers le cocktail réseautage. Je vous rappelle que ceux qui n'ont pas de casque et qui ont besoin d'un casque, ce dernier est disponible tout près de Denis, là, donc juste levez votre main et dans la transition avec la présentation de Sam, bien, on pourra régler cette question-là. Donc, si vous pouvez lever votre main, Denis et peut-être Caroline et d'autres là, vont aider à la distribution des casques. C'est bon? Donc, sans plus tarder, je vais dire quelques mots sur... pour vous présenter Sam McPherson. Alors, Sam, comme Denis l'a mentionné, Sam est arrivé à Montréal dimanche. Donc, depuis presque 2 jours, nous sommes avec Sam et je vous dirais qu'en 2 jours, je dois avoir gagné 2 livres. Et c'est pas, on a bien mangé, mais c'est pas parce qu'on a trop bien mangé. C'est que mon cerveau a pris 2 livres, sans doute tellement qu'il a été mis à rude épreuve. Donc, on a appris, Denis et moi, et moi en particulier, énormément à côtoyer Sam, qui est d'une générosité et qui a une énergie incroyable. Hier soir, on a quitté un souper avec la direction générale du dernier CIS qu'on a visité. Et j'ai posé une question à Sam sur le processus de uqtr, sur le processus de partage des apprentissages, des bonnes pratiques. Et sa réponse nous a amené là, de la rive sud à l'aéroport de Dorval. Donc, c'est une machine qui est incroyable, qui veut partager. On a visité plusieurs salles de pilotage encore ce matin et donc les échanges ont été très, très nourris, très fructueux et ça va me prendre plusieurs jours à décanter tout ça. Et on a plein d'idées de recherche intéressantes et importantes là, en tête. Donc, pour vous le présenter le plus formellement, c'est un consultant américain, expert donc des questions de salle de pilotage, expert des questions de leadership lean. Je pense au thème du colloque de la CVPAC, donc c'est tout à fait l'expertise de Sam. Il est d'ailleurs, comme je vous mentionnais, à rédiger un livre sur les salles de pilotage. C'est un gradué de l'Université de l'Alabama, entre autres choses. Il vient tout récemment là, d'être nommé Faculty Fellow du Shingo Institute, qui est un repère très, très important là, dans le monde de l'amélioration des processus, dans le monde ligne. Il a d'ailleurs travaillé avec le docteur Shingo là, dans les dernières années de sa vie. Donc, il a une longue expertise à Toyota, avec Toyota par la suite, fait de la consultation dans toutes sortes de secteurs, toutes sortes d'industries, dont la santé. Donc, sans plus tarder, ça me fait un énorme plaisir de vous demander d'applaudir chaleureusement là, Sam McPherson.
Thank you very much for allowing me to share my thinking today. So, Voila. Okay. So you're on an incredible journey, and you've taken on an approach that is so powerful, because it is so powerful, it has to be used with the right precision. And so I'm going to talk to you about it from the perspective of how I use Obeya in my transformation work with companies. And I'm also going to share with you how Toyota views Obeya, which may be different than your understanding, so open your mind and receive, because I want to talk to you about not where you're at right now, but where you might want to go. And so as you think about the things I'm going to share with you today, there will be things to challenge your thinking, because that's what I do, and I want you to kind of just as we like to say, hansei, deeply reflect on the subject matter that we are tackling today. Not many people are doing this, and so I was quite excited to come and visit you and see what you have done, and you are doing such great things. So let's talk a little bit about Obeya, okay? All right, so real quickly, just in the event you want to follow some of my muses, that I am on Twitter, so Lean Leader Way. I oftentimes take little things like this and put little thoughts out, and then my phone number should you need it. Okay, so the things that we're going to cover today, what is an Obeya? Because that's like a new word since you hear control room. And with that meaning comes a holistic understanding of what it is. Obeya and how it can possibly help you develop your culture. You know, one of the Rosetta Stone, or the chalice that we all seek in our quest, is the lean culture, right? A totally engaged culture where every day is every tomorrow is better than yesterday. And so that is really what we want to create, and why we would want an Obeya. We also want to talk about, and this has been a discussion I've had with several of the leaders yesterday and today, the leadership gap, the availability of leaders compared to the need for leaders, and how can we use Obeya as part of our leadership development strategy. And how can it be used to accelerate that leadership development strategy? So I'll talk a little bit about that, although I could probably talk for days on that, as Sylvain and Denis mentioned. I'm going to talk about the types of Obeya at Toyota, because Toyota is my standard. So I want to explain how we see it, how we use it, how we manage it. As a consideration, and then I'll talk to you how you might want to get started if you've not currently on your journey, and Obeya is not part of your journey. Where would you get started? If you are on your journey, where should you consider adding additional effort in that journey? So, and then I'm going to talk about how to organize the Obeya based on purpose, and most importantly, for flow. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about the things that are most important to you. So what is an Obeya? Quite frankly, it means big room. It is one of those few things culturally that come from the Japanese culture, because most of the living rooms or living areas in Japanese houses for centuries all had a common area, and sometimes you slept there, you communed there, and so it was a room without a lot of extra rooms, and it would be this big room where everyone would come together, and that culture transferred into the professional setting. So the interesting thing about it is that many people who often visit Toyota, if they go to Japan and go to Toyota City and they visit the corporate offices, they're quite shocked at the lack of offices, our traditional offices. Most of the management team works together. It literally works together in a large room where they can see each other and communicate together and collaborate together. Many years ago, there was a television show that used to be called WKRP in Cincinnati. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a character that name was Les Nessman, and Les always wanted his office, so he would put a tape on the floor, that was supposed to be his office for his sales group. So if you wanted to come see Les, you had to come in, and if you tried to just walk up to him, he'd make you go back out and come through the little tape door, the invisible office. And sometimes it's that way in the corporate headquarters, just because you can see the chairman of Toyota Corporation doesn't mean you can just walk right up there and say, "Hey, sir, can I ask you a question?" There's usually a barrier of an administrative assistant that kind of says, "Do you have an appointment?" But the fact that we're all in the room together allows us to hear each other. It allows us to learn quicker, especially on the leadership development. And they brought that concept over originally in the research and development in engineering when Toyota established its research and development center. So the birthplace of Obeya outside of corporate offices was really in engineering. And then interestingly enough, then it transferred into sales. And the reason why they needed it in sales was because they were competing with Honda and everything. And they weren't doing very well on the J.D. Power Award, okay? And so they needed a room that they could organize around the entire customer lifecycle experience. And so they needed to grasp the situation. They needed to see a flow down of how are we doing? What do the customers care about? How are we providing that value? And how well are we doing? And so it started from the design view all the way around through the entire customer purchase and loyalty experience. And so the whole room showed that experience. And then after that, we kind of transferred it into manufacturing. So it worked so well, it started to become a staple of the operations. Nowadays, the Obeya concept is fully deployed in many areas of Toyota, which I will share with you today. The biggest thing about it is that the Obeya has no barriers to collaboration. So the spirit of the Obeya is collaboration. And so that is what we are looking for from a mindfulness perspective when we establish an Obeya. And so you will not find very many cubicles, or of course you'll have some offices to do some discussion and counseling, but you really won't see like everybody having their own little office. So there's a time and a place for that, but I always think of it about as being a coach. Where is the coach's job? Is where the game's being played, right? But there are times when you need to talk to people in your office and plan and stuff like that. But 80% of the time, you're in the Obeya. You're in the management Gemba, right? So that's what we normally see. And you've known about Obeya all your life. The most famous Obeya in the universe, right? What is this? It's the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And interestingly enough, my Obeya manager in Cleveland, she gave me the entire nomenclature of the Enterprise. I'm like, you knew that too well. So, and so you've got the Obeya president, Captain Kirk. You have the Obeya team. But why is that important? They're going where no one has gone before. The need for... being the first of the Obeyas to be presented. But more importantly, if you're going to go there, you might want to know what's going on, right? You want to see the Klingon ships coming up, right? Might be something you don't want to be hiding in your office when it happens, right? So critical information, collaboration, and and decision making is happening there. And yet we have young leaders down here that are getting the benefit of being around senior leaders dealing with and solving problems. There might be a lesson there. Okay, what is this? Okay, if this was the most famous obeah in the universe, this is the most famous obeah on the planet, which is connected to the universe, right? So why is it important that NASA has this mission control? Is it proper problem awareness? Is it be able to respond to problems quickly? Okay, is it to make sure that the plan for the trajectory of where we're going and the vision of where we're going, that we're achieving it, right? And that we can head off little problems very quickly. That's the spirit of obeah. Okay, so what's my background in obeah? Other than my Toyota background, I lived and breathed it for years. So I come from a special forces background. No, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I am a Green Beret. Just a little rounder Green Beret today. So for those of you old enough to know John Wayne, raise your hand. Okay, the original Green Beret. So we're the Special Forces, and we were the guys that went into Afghanistan and rode on horseback and everything else. But my job was strategic management and planning, and so it was very important when I had teams in danger, as you know from the news recently, of the four soldiers who died in Niger. It's very important that we have proper problem awareness and that we can respond quickly to problems. That's the spirit of obeah as well, right? So this was my world most of the time. So the other thing that we're going to talk about today is that there's an obeah for every level, okay? So what you generally are going to see is different types, and we're going to talk about different types of obeah. And by the way, you will be able to get a copy of this presentation, use it to line the bottom of your bird cage or whatever you want to do. Okay, so of course we have a global obeah for the management system because Toyota's got operations in 170 different countries in the world. But probably our biggest primary purpose for a global obeah is really for the global launch of vehicles. So what we call the major model changes. So there's a lot of marketing involved. There's a lot of engineering that's involved. So we have to kind of manage that process across the entire world because we don't just introduce a new Camry in the United States, okay? When they introduce a new Camry, it goes everywhere. So right now, the global obeah is really about synchronizing operations for flow and to get that value out with velocity. Okay. Now, probably one of the biggest struggles we have when we do this is IT operability. So that's always a challenge. But we're trying to synchronize, the flow of information and material worldwide to basically make sure that the product gets to the customer and that everything's lined up. And of course, that's probably like herding rabbits, but we give it a try. So right now, the biggest effort right now for us is around what's called the Toyota New Global Architecture. So that it's going to involve a 95% redesign of the Camry and the other platforms, and it will all be based on the human anatomy. And so that literally fits you like a glove. And so now the car is going to wrap around you, and then the redesign is all about what makes it safer when you're comfortable and you're set up for attention. So that's the biggest global launch effort right now that global obeahs are involved in. The second one that's the most common you'll see in Toyota is called a business process obeah. And the reason why this is important is the flow and the layout essentially mimics the flow and the layout of the process. So you will have a business executive office obeah, business process obeah. You'll have an obeah for sales, like at Toyota Motor Sales. You'll have business process obeah for engineering and research and development. and then you'll have the business process OBEA for manufacturing or operations. So they all look a little different, but they all conform to the same spirit. And they will all mimic the flow of whatever the activity is that it's dedicated to. So, and then lastly, probably the ones that you may be familiar with are what we call the war rooms. But these are called focused OBEAs. And generally speaking, they are where the team solves problems. So that's part of our engagement strategy. So we have, then these are very different, but normally what they're focused on is one single activity. And so the entire story of that team's problem solving or Kaizen activity is generally dedicated to that room. So we'll generally have some, one point that's part of our management system is called floor management and development. That is how the floor management system works, and it is its own OBEA. We also have the team problem solving rooms. Normally that's inside of the FMDS room, the floor management development room. And then we have very special management-driven study groups. And a lot of times it'll be problem solving, but it has a strategic nature, much at the level of your projects in your OBEA. But they're more designed, the projects themselves are designed to develop leaders, to develop thinking. So the word Jishikan means study group. And so we use a problem or a project to develop people. And that's the primary purpose. And then lastly, you'll see the departmental Hoshin as well. So everybody with me? How's my French? Okay, so really the theory is behind the OBEA is pretty simple. Dedicate the space and the time, and I know that you've got to struggle there in healthcare, but dedicate the space and the time to coordination and problem solving, and organizational barriers will be minimized. And so that is really the spirit of the OBEA. So why would you want to establish an OBEA? What do you notice real quick? Another look? I made somebody famous here today. What did you see? You saw the cones, didn't you? Okay. There's a lesson behind that. Yes. What did you notice? Before we could talk about why you would want to establish an OBEA, we got to talk about the operating system behind the OBEA, because it really is a system. And this is it. So I'm going to recommend that when Sylvain does his new dashboard, there'll be a dashboard over here with nothing and a dashboard with just an engine service light on. Because what is the engine service light? That's the thing you need to pay attention to, right? Versus all the other stuff, which has an effect of something that's psychologically and cognitively called information blindness. You notice this becomes kind of something in the background, right? And we need to leverage our understanding of how the human mind works to make the OBEA work more effectively. So the thing you must first understand, and what this picture tells you, is you see the exception, not the rule, don't you? Okay? That is key to understanding how Toyota manages its entire business. Because management by objective, I know I'm in a business school, okay, versus management by exception. The entire Toyota business system is based on management by exception versus management by objective. We do have some objectives, but it's not how we run the business. That's why we have something called Toyota Business Practice. It's our management system, and it's based around problem solving. How often have you ever heard a company that can explain their entire management system, management by exception, respect for others, continuous improvement, solve problems? That's it. Thank you very much. See you later. And so the difference in management by objective, it tends to sometimes go toward command and control, okay? Whereas management by exception is based on standards, and what we're doing is when the exception occurs, you are solving problems to return to the standard. So the entire cycle of the business in Toyota starts with what we call SDCA, which I hope this isn't a flip chart marker. Okay, it starts with establish standards. Standard, do, check, adjust. Okay? There is a symbiotic relationship with PDCA because it takes place within here. The first thing Toyota does all across the world if that sets up a plant is establishes standards. And you'll spend days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks getting all work is highly standardized as to content, sequence, timing, and outcome. So respect to Dr. Stephen Spears who understood that. And so this is our norm. And so when there is an exception to that norm, we want to know it. So the next cycle is to problem solve to return to the standard. This is where we focus. And only when you've reached stability in the standard do you go to the next phase, which is Kaizen the standard. This takes place at the work level. This takes place at the process level. This takes place at the system level, and it takes place at the management system level. Hoshin is management Kaizen. You cannot do Hoshin from Toyota's perspective until you have standards and basic stability. Just let that sink in. Hansei for a moment. That is our cycle. I needed to explain that because we have an entire network. So if the obea is the brain, where's the nervous system? Anybody ever heard of this word? Andon. It means signal. So in Toyota, across the entire enterprise, anytime there's an exception to the standard, a non-standard condition, every team member can reach behind them, pull a cord, push a button, or hit a button on a keyboard and set off an andon. And we have an infrastructure to support that, which is a little bit different because it's very difficult to support this. So we end up having to have a structure which is a team-based structure. Team leader with a rough ratio of 1 to 5. Now we have to free those people up by eliminating waste in the organization and solving problems. And then the group leaders, the supervisor level, is essentially a 1 to 5 ratio. He has a team that consists of the supervisor and 5 team leaders. The key here is we have to train our team members as if they're going to be the CEO of the organization, because Toyota only promotes from within. And so we'll hire people in to be a team leader or a group leader from college, then we send them to the shop floor for a while. So even if you don't come up through the team member ranks, you will go to the floor and we'll bring you back up because you have to be brought into our culture. So the nervous system, the reflexive nerves of the brain of our obea, is the andon system. Okay? And the motor nerves of our system are our standards. So if we work to standards, it's not a control, there's passive control in that process. More importantly, we have a way to compare to find opportunities to improve. because we have a stable platform for doing that. So that explains why we organize like we do, establish standards, problem solve to return to the standard, stabilize the standard, Kaizen the standard. And once you Kaizen the standard, you notice the cycle comes up. Why? Because that's now the standard. So, one more thing. There's always room for Kaizen in coordination, collaboration, communication. Would you agree? And everybody said amen. A little bit of church today. So the OBEA does accelerate lean culture. So I'm going to touch just a little bit on that briefly, just so that we can say everything you just saw helps with lean culture. Remember, every time we go solve a problem with a team member, we get an opportunity to introduce them to our culture. Every time we Kaizen with a team member or team, we have an opportunity to promote our culture. The reason why we need to do that is especially if you've been through a transition, is we've got to regain mutual trust. And the best way to do that is to solve problems together. Agreed? There you go. So you didn't know this was going to be interactive, did you? Okay, so the other part of that is that the reason why the OBEA is such a critical part of your lean transformation and culture building is we are hardwired to socialize. In fact, when people stand off by themselves and don't socialize, we think they're a little weird, don't we? Yeah, so neurologically, our brains are literally built for socialization. And so we need a way to satisfy that need for socialization. In fact, I have a social psychologist that I work with that is part of trying to establish an internet-based wine lessons learned group, a network of wineries. And he says, I started studying just when we started getting grumpy. And what we noticed was when we didn't meet together as a team regularly, when we started to travel and we could only meet like every 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, 6 weeks was the magic number. At 6 weeks, everybody was ill at each other because they didn't feel like they were being listened to, because they lost the ability to communicate both verbally and non-verbally. And it's the nonverbal piece that we were missing sometimes in emails or conference calls. We're hardwired so we can look at each other. Most of the information in communication is going to be because we're looking at each other, we're saying words, we're reading the body language, right? So we have to satisfy the need to, and the other thing is when you're going through a transformation, don't you want to see that you're not in there by yourself? And sometimes with lean tools, like building lean cells and stuff like that, we oftentimes sit people out by themselves to do lean stuff. And there's no spinal cord to come back to the brain to say, here's what I learned today. So there's no way to recognize that. The bon coup, right? So a little bit a day at a time, right? So the other thing about culture, if you've read Edgar Schein's studies on culture, you know to have a culture, the gateway to culture is language. So oftentimes I will use unique language. I do use some Japanese words to create a unique language for the OBEA and for the transformation. And so we build a new language to accelerate our culture. And then, so the gateway to culture is language. And now we can share that language and that thinking with others. And the other thing is you got to have ceremonies. We have to have rituals. You have other things you have to do, even if they're silly, that you have culture if people who are new come to watch you and they think you're weird. Right? Okay, so if you're not weird enough, you don't have culture yet. So building a good lean culture is, how quickly can you get weird to the outsiders, right? But that's kind of key to culture. So the OBEA accelerates that process. And if we have a chain of OBEAs, that's how we get that deployed. So So I had a lucid moment. You know, I think I drank 2 smart waters today, so I'm supposed to be really smart. So what I know, you drink it too, right? Okay, so every time we get together in the Obeah and speak the language of the Toyota way, or the Obeah way, okay, and practice our routines for daily planning, management, problem solving, or when we gather to hold each other accountable to our shared expectations. Cultures have shared expectations. Then as leaders, and then also don't forget sharing and reflecting on your learning as leaders, we are creating a lean culture. And then as leaders, we can take that culture to the Gemba. Agreed? That's one of those, I had my deep moment. So how can we also accelerate our leadership development? Well, the opportunity to bring people into the Obeah, our leaders to work in the Obeah and be part of our Obeah network, they're learning from the masters. You know, they're hearing how the CEO thinks, how they make decisions, how the senior leadership staff prioritizes. How would you do that if you were just a team leader on the floor and you never had a place to come learn how leaders lead? And so if you do your Obeah correctly, you should have a bench strength, a deep bench strength of future leaders in your organization. And so that's my challenge to you, because as Mr. Cato would say, the lean improvements depend on the creative efforts of people led by managers, well-trained managers to our culture, and natural work team leaders with an extreme attention, I always love that word, to the details of executing daily management techniques. Okay, it's a mouthful, but he's Japanese and he can do that. The sad thing is that most of us are in our jobs 10 years before we get our first leadership development training. And when you do good, it's probably some human resource thing that tells us what we're not supposed to do. You know, right? Everybody shake your head. Okay, so that's kind of a sad statistics. We are in the university, so I had to throw some statistics up there. So we wait too long to train our leaders. The other thing, we will say, hey, Sylvain, you're a sharp guy. You know what, I got an opportunity for you. I want you to go do this little startup over here. And then we send them off to do that and lead, but they get disconnected. They get expatriated, right? Sometimes we can get expatriated in the same building. Amen? Amen. So too many times our leaders are left to figure it out on their own. And the Obeah in its different form gives them an opportunity to ask questions, check thinking, learn, like I said, from the masters. And even when the masters make mistakes, they get to learn from the master's mistake, right? And the last thing I'll say about the principles of the Obeah, according to Casey Nang, former director of Toyota Manufacturing, Toyota Motor Manufacturing in Australia, is that essentially the Obeah must hold to the rules of the 2 pillars of the Toyota production system. First and foremost, information must flow without error. So information must flow. You cannot accept, make, or pass a defect in any form. Anybody in here get a defective information this week? Okay. All right. And the other thing is that we deliver the information where it's needed, when it's needed, in the amount that's needed. So we don't want to have the dashboard that Sylvain showed earlier with all that information. We need to see the exception. The exceptions, when they come on and get our attention, that's just in time information. And those are the 2 principles that we have to adhere to if we're going to do this the Toyota way. So where do we start? Here's where I'm probably going to challenge you a little bit. Okay, Mr. Cho once said that brilliant process management is our strategy. So if you're going to have a strategy room, we focus our strategy room around brilliant process strategy, okay? because we want to get brilliant results from ordinary people. We build our plants in places like Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, West Virginia, Texas, the rice farm environment in Toyota City in Japan, far from the big metropolises, where you find ordinary people. Okay? And that's what we want. We want ordinary people the craftsmen of ordinary people to be able to do great things. So we will get brilliant results from ordinary people. They manage brilliant processes. Where we see and observe our competitors often get ordinary or worse results from having brilliant people managing broken processes. Again, amen? I'm going to get you guys to say amen before it's over with. So generally our establishment, both the transformation and the Obeah, reflects trying to establish brilliant processes. So generally speaking, how many are familiar with this image, the house of TPS? So if you're going to build a house, what's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you do? The foundation. No, you get a blueprint. You know that. So the blueprint is the plan. So what we're saying is your Hoshin, your strategy is to build a perfect house, right? Because that's what the blueprint is for, right? So what we do in the Hoshin, the strategy in the first couple, 2-3 years, is to build a perfect house. Then what we do with the house after that is your next strategy, right? So generally speaking, when I'm working with my transformation clients, we start with visual management in building our house, and we generally do that in building a foundation of basic stability and reliability in man, machine, material, methods, Mother Nature, what we call the 5 M's, okay? And so we generally are going to focus around process stability. We're going to focus around process stability, process stability, process stability, and process stability. Standards, right? Then we're going to focus on problem solving around process stability. Then we're going to focus on work standards to achieve process stability. Okay, and then lastly, customers like for us to do what they want us to do, so we have to focus on schedule attainment, right? So that's where I generally focus my clients. So our Obeahs reflect that effort. That's our first strategy. Probably what we're going to spend about the next 6 to 9 months on. Okay, then after that we move into level production loading, standardization, resource standardization, and then true Kaizen. So there we need to see things in our Obeahs that tell us what should we be working on, level loading, leveling resources, and standardization and Kaizen, how are our resources doing? And then probably in the next 9-month period or so, we'll focus on what we call full SDCQS. I used to do this just like this, SDCQDCPM, which is safety, quality, delivery, cost, productivity, and morale. Oh, we have to add lead time, okay? And then organizational level problem solving. Here the problem solving is more about what eats your lunch every day. What are the problems everybody experiences every day? And so it's more work-related, process-related problem solving. Then we're moving up here to standards problem solving. Now we're into organizational problem solving. How well does the operational systems work together? And we need to problem solve to make them work better together. And then lastly, then in the fourth stage, we'll focus on the deployment across the organization. Kind of the pilot cell process we were talking about. Full integration of all TPS systems, as well as working on problems with connections, in the system. So a lot of times, sometimes we talked, I think in the last couple of days, we might have mentioned, the connections. In the early stages, you're building, where the connections are going to be. Okay, you're laying the framework. They're in the plan. But if you just work on if you just try to put the roof up, you're just going to crush everybody under it. So in the blueprint, we know where the connections are going to end up. And then when we connect it in up here in the 5th stage, everything runs. The big numbers move. They move the whole time. They just jump off the track when everything's clicking. So this is generally the process that both I and Toyota use. It's just something for you to think about. Okay? So, how should your Obeya be laid out? I'm going to talk about a couple of options there. It depends, right? What's your purpose? So the Obeyas are laid out according to their purpose, whether they're global, whether they're business process, what is the business process, what is the focus Obeya, what should it be? So what you're looking at right here is Toyota Industrial Equipment Manufacturing in Columbus, Indiana. They are a Toyota plant, and that is their Hoshin Connery room. That room is dedicated to what they call K21, their strategy for 2021, where they're at now and where they want to be by 2021. And what you will see is that room is based around a flow. They're complete, just like we talked about in Toyota Motor Sales, a complete customer experience cycle. And so that around that room is every one of these little process flows. We call this a customer first flow. Now the customer is the customer, our experience with them, but also the customer is the next process. So we also have a strategy for how to better collaborate between the preceding process and the subsequent process, because the next process is truly our customer. You have them too. So on that wall around that room, you see all of the strategies for developing each process to meet the demands that we're going to meet in 2021. Without leaving any process behind. So we refer to, so in the Hoshin room, you can kind of see, you start with the Hoshin Vision, K21. The Hoshin room is dedicated to developing and monitoring and managing and bringing to operationalization the Hoshin's vision, which is over here with Shannon. Okay, then after that, each department interprets how they can support that Hoshin. And so their job is they have a board in their office or in their little Obeya, and each function in that department has a flow down of Hoshin support strategies. And one of the requirements is that everybody in that department has a project or an initiative that's connected to the Hoshin. So we tie it up 2 levels every time. And so this happens to be production control right here with Shannon, since he manages production control. And then daily operations, this is the operations Obeya here at team. You notice there are not a lot of chairs there, just a few tables, because it is a working area. We're in and out of that all day long. First thing in the morning until the end of the day. It is not a static room. It's the coach's sideline. It's where we coach the game. And so we are problem solving, and this whole room is based on Toyota business practice. It is a problem solving room. But it's a system level problem solving room. Process connection problem solving room. So we want to see the exceptions. We want to see the orange cones. So that's where we're going to spend our attention. On the shop floor, supervisors and team leaders have an Obeya of their own, and it's a focus Obeya for their shift. And even there, they have safety, quality, delivery, cost, productivity, and morale. Right now, human resource development is the focus, if you can see the star. And it's a flow down as well. So supervisors must have goals for safety, quality, delivery, cost, productivity, and morale. And support and facilitate their teams to achieve those goals every day. And it's also the place where we can look at trends. So the supervisors are responsible for looking at trends and problem solving to meet the goals. So if supervisors are doing what managers used to do, what do managers do now? Just something for you to think about. The one thing you don't see here is there's another level. At the team and the team leader level, there's we have a different form of an obeah. It's a focus obeah, but it's all around creating the perfect conditions for daily or shift work. And so we control how those perfect conditions in a concept called rohinjukin, which means everyday team leaders must create the perfect condition for work before the beginning of the day and throughout the entire day, from equipment to standards to tooling and things we use, okay? So everybody has a different function in this process as well. Are you still with me, people? Okay, do I need to throw the orange cones back up? Okay, so you see the visualization of the Hoshin, and you see the major breakthrough measures that we need to achieve here. And the other thing they'll do is, although we have all of these True North initiatives, we're only going to prioritize about 3 or 4 of those. And then the next year we'll move our priorities, and the next year we'll move the priorities. We're not going to try to do all of those things at once, like some people try to do. Okay? So you've heard this a little bit. It's called the Toyota T, a mile wide and an inch deep, and an inch wide and a mile deep. Well, so Toyota looks at that from the obeah flow perspective. It is a process by process Hoshin target with the customer first value creation business flow. So just like you saw around the room. So it's more about process to process and how well we're doing that. And then the next thing is actually the T part of it is the flow down of grasp the situation, what is the goal. So we'll normally have the business process trends, gaps, analysis, plans, actions, and results, all connected together. So you don't have to run around the room to show me. Okay, so Hoshin target, when we set Hoshin targets for this process, okay, let's just say, for engineering, what it will have is both a quantitative and a qualitative Hoshin statement. So you'll know what target you're shooting for, as well as what is the end state, the qualitative end state for that. So we like to call that the big so what. So when you're talking to somebody about this metric, say, this is where we're going, and here's why we need to get there, right? Sometimes I like to include, here's what happens if we do this, here's what happens if we don't do this, right? And then at the next level, following good PDCA, we need to go to grasp the situation. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do grasp the situation. What are the trends? What are our performance against the goal? Then next, we're going to break down the gap, and we're going to show what we need to be working, what problem we're going to tackle. And so that ends up being our analysis and plans. And then our action status, what actions are we doing? What's your timetable? One of the biggest things, the timetable. Okay. So what is your timetable for implementing? And in our world, we have very, very restrictive timelines. And then what's the status, and then results tracking. So what do we have here? We have where we're going. We have where are we at? What's the ideal situation? What is the current situation? What are our plans? Our plan, do, check, act and adjust, and then results tracking to see when we're going to share thinking. So it's a little bit different flow. But that's what you were seeing in the Toyota room. So you see that here, safety, quality, delivery, cost, productivity, and morale, and here, and then you see the flow down. Here's where we're at, here's where we're supposed to be, and then you'll see here's the plan, the do, the check, the act, the adjust. A little bit different. So that's how we connect it. We always make sure in every activity, we always connect our activity 2 levels up. So we call that line of sight. So every time we do something, every time we problem solve, every time we do Kaizen, we have to identify what is our role, what is our responsibility, what is my department's responsibility, and then how does it support the ultimate goal. So every time we go through problem solving, like I said, it's an opportunity for us to tell us, here's where the company's going, and here's how we're going to help them get there. So here's an example of Toyota's operations obeah. In here you'll see all the little indicators. We happen to use some interesting things, a little bit different than what you use. We do use red, amber, green. If you're green, you're clean. We hardly look at you. You know, I think one place I saw maybe today was too much green. You know, the Japanese, too much green, you know. So we have a round circle that's green, big round circle. We'll have a yellow triangle, and then we'll have a big red X. You know, the difference is when you have management by exception, red X's are what you're looking for. So rather than it being punitive, one of the things we need to do in our cultures is that is our opportunity, because you're focusing on the red X's. Now, we do have something called double red X. And that just means you got a problem that's continuing to trend in the other direction. So we're going to stop the line and we're going to work on that. And that's usually we're going to stop other things and we're going to focus on that till we get it back, what we call leveled up. Does that kind of help you? You see how, but one of the things you'll notice, I used to have a picture right here on one of my other ones, is on that table is a box of Crayola crayons. That's because it's very sticky in there. You know, we do everything with Crayolas, and, you know, we do have printouts in here, but most of our daily management awareness we do by hand. And the cognitive psychology behind that is called disfluency. Because we have to slow down and we have to work with that information tactilely, it makes us slow down our thinking and focus. Whereas, like as I said, most of the time this system is based on heuristics and it just kind of runs itself. But when we're going to make changes or we have to be accountable for our performance, one way to be accountable is going up to that chart and knowing you're going to have to put a little red X up there when yesterday and the day before that it was a green circle. You know, it tends to get your attention. So that way we get involved psychologically and cognitively with what's going on in that area. What do you think? Make you think? Okay. So the other common concept that Art Smalley and I, who has been my partner for several years, is everything in Toyota is pretty much a funnel. The funnel may go this way, the funnel may go this way, it may go this way and this way. Okay? But it's still a funnel. We start with the vague problem, and little by little we break down that problem. And then we go into root cause analysis, we go back out to the funnel again, we break down the root cause analysis, and then we get ready to develop countermeasures. We go divergent again, we brainstorm ways we can solve the problem, and then we got to select the problems, analyze, prioritize, and decide on what we're going to do to solve the problem. So it's a series of funnels, and I think that helps you if you understand that this is a funnel. Make sense? So that's what you're seeing here. This is actually my friend Jeremiah Duncan. If you're in America next spring and you want to come down to North Carolina and watch me and Jeremiah will be presenting on FMDS. But this is his board, and it's vague here, more detailed breakdown here, detailed analysis here, plan, do, check, and adjust. And then he's very proud. He just won the Silver Status Award from Toyota. So most of the gold is in Japan right now. So he's very proud of that. So his team is in there now going through and focusing on human resource development. So that is part of their OBEA. They problem solve exception management. Let's see. So this is the eye chart for today. Can everybody see this? Okay, but this is more for you to have in your packet. And it basically shows from the Hoshin Initiative to KPIs and sub-KPIs, there's yours. And then your top 5 issues. The philosophy in Toyota is don't tackle more problems than you can count on one hand. Did I say something? Because if you do that right, then that top 5 will always change, won't it? But if you try to tackle more, what happens? Nothing. Okay, so just to make you think, right? And then there are the activities and the training around the activities, and then we're always results tracking. And at the bottom, what you might have saw is a little holder for a binder. In that binder is what we call books of knowledge. Every activity done for human resource development, as long as that department's been working on it, every A3, every problem solving, every Kaizen is in that book. so that you can go back out of respect, study the things that people did before you. And you get to add to that story. Okay? So that's there mostly for a reference. So this is a business process, Obeya. In here you have the strategy, but you also have daily operation. One of the things that's kind of important we'll talk about is the cadence management. Sometimes the layout that I call this the front window view of an Obeya in operations management. We always want to know what's going on right now, and the ancillary, the funnel information comes in toward the center. The concept's called center line concept. So generally the biggest in here, in an operations Obeya, the biggest thing is what's going on right now out in the operation. So me as an operational leader, I can step into that room in one glance. I know everything that's going on in the enterprise, everything that's going on in the operation. Okay, we update this operation every hour. Supervisors that come up and post whether they're green and they're clean, whether they're having a problem that they can recover from, or whether they've had a problem that they cannot recover from. And we'll start working that problem right then, because our goal is for us to support them in meeting their schedule every day. Okay? So whatever they promise to do today, we want to help them do that. So this is the focal point here, the operation status board. Everything else around it is all the stuff that flows into this area. And then in the back or on the other wall, on the outside of the wall, oftentimes we have what we call the Hoshin board. So what are we doing in each function? And then what is the flow down? How are we doing? And there's accountability with that. By the way, if you're going to transform a culture, one of the biggest things you'll have to do is have peer-to-peer accountability. So we have to use this room for the peer-to-peer accountability. Your culture depends on it. Everybody needs to know what's going on. Everybody needs to know what they're responsible for. Okay? So if you're going to accelerate it. The other thing we work on is something called cadence management in the Obeya. So we don't have static Obeyas. We are in and out of there all day long. It is our brain. So how often do you guys only go to your brain once a month? There you go. Okay, so one of the things, how many people have read the book, The Power of Habit? The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Okay, the psychology of habit making. Well, a transformation means you need to change old routines to new routines. So one of the things that I use the Obeya for is to create new habits. So we start our morning, there are three things that you need to create a habit or replace a habit according to Charles Duhigg. Number one, you need a cue. Number two, you need a new routine. Number three, you need a reward for following that routine. He uses chocolate, I need to use lean. Okay, so we start every morning with what we call the hot start meeting. And so every center director has to say, I am ready for a perfect start. My equipment's good, all my people are here, the processes are good, nobody left me a mess, the environment is perfect, everything is perfect for the start of the day, and the coffee is hot. And tea if you like. Okay? All right, so the other thing that occurs during that meeting is the senior leadership group has something we call a daily top five. My most senior leader is generally going to have a weekly top five, and what he's saying is, I'm going to put my leadership influence toward this top five. Okay? You may have a connection or you may not, but he says, this is my priorities for leadership this week. And then every one of the center directors will also have their daily top five. Here's what I'm going to put my leadership influence on. And generally that top five consists of three basic things during a transformation. System operability, advancing the lean system, advancing the Obeya. Here's what I'm going to do to advance the Obeya today. Critical problem solving around the operability of the Obeya systems, and people development. People development is part of our top five, but we're going to use the first two to develop people. Got it? So we develop people through critical problem solving and helping them to advance the system. So we all start with a daily top 5. At the end of the day, we report out on our top 5 accomplishment, and there's only 2 colors. You're either red or green. Peer-to-peer accountability, right? And so everybody wants to be green, but sometimes you're red. So if you're red, you lead with your reds. Because if you did not accomplish what you committed to today to advance our transformation, then you must have a recovery plan. So you got to brief that recovery plan. Number 2, throughout the day, daily management, that's the routine. We normally have think of this from an operation standpoint, but the first thing we're going to do around 9 o'clock is we're going to look at level loading the schedule, level loading the resources, see what tasks need to be done, what critical projects need to be done, who's doing it, have we level loaded, is anybody overloaded, has anybody got capacity, where are we constrained for capacity, and then we level that out. And we normally do that 3 days out before something. We're going to put the plan together for it. Then we check the conditions to make sure it's perfect. Then we do 10-day loading. We literally take day by day for 10 days and we level load that based on activities. If you look at it, urgency and level of complexity. And then the resource, the capability to solve the problem. And then midday we have kind of our halftime, a midday huddle. Are we on track? Does anybody need help? Where are we behind? Is anybody experiencing any system level problems? We want to put resources. And we always ask here, who's got capacity? So we can help each other out. And then lastly, we generally are going to have a plan. We look at our material support and we call that a plan for every person. And then lastly, at the end of the day, we review status. We're going to schedule accomplishment. You're either green or red. A3 report out. We report out our A3s in stages. So they're generally throughout the day, the A3s are maturing over the next 3 to 5 days, and we're reporting out our progress on those A3s. And then there's PDCA system review. How can we make the system better for tomorrow? And then a plan for every person. We look at who's engaged, who's not as engaged, and if they're not engaged, what's your concern, what's your cause, what's your containment, and how will you check? So we proactively look at engagement, especially in the transformation, and we proactively work that to get that engagement. Concrete countermeasures. So gives you a little bit of a look at our 10-day leveling plan, but we look at this every day. We look 30, 60, 90 days, what's coming in. We break that down into 10-day activities and balance the load. And then 3 days out before we do something, we lock it down. And that point, we're preparing for that third day. And what we're doing today, we planned 3 days ago. Now, I know you... So just think about that. If you come into today with a 70% plan that you've planned, it's better than showing up today and have to plan the whole thing, right? It's never a perfect 100% plan. It is, we are thinking about 3 days from now. And what can we do to make 3 days better than we would have been without thinking about it? Does that make sense? Plan, then what? Do, right? Then check and adjust. So that means we actually have to do planning. And lastly, notice how low tech this is. We got Post-it notes. By visiting the R&D Center at Goodyear, I learned how to print on Post-it notes. But you can see everything that's happening from the time a sales order comes in till we get the cash, that's called the value stream, and the information flow, and we have standards for that. So when an order comes in, or if something comes in, how many days should it be in green before it becomes something else? And what are we looking at? Are we looking at anything in the greens? No. What are we looking for? We're looking for this guy right here that's what? He's in orange now. Or for this guy that's over in red. Managing the exceptions. So that, by the way, just on that wall right there, you're probably looking at $500 million worth of revenue. Managed by a low-tech thing. But guess what they had before we did this? Last week. Nothing. It got lost. So I can't say this on camera, but we found a lot of money last week. And the other thing about the Obeya is a whole brain system. So you can't just say facts, you just can't show data. It has to be artistic. This is very artistic and tactile. It's whole brain thinking, and it's big. You got to take it in through your peripheral vision. So your Obeya must be whole brain. And one of the other things that helps with your whole brain is turn what you're doing in the Obeya into a good story. So Obeya leaders are good storytellers. Okay? And I've always believed everybody deserves a war story. So one of the things to make it very artistic, get your right brain involved, which we are doing here. I can't tell you how many times we wore out our plotter that day, but we were sketching in everything, and then you're writing down little things on Post-it notes, and then you're using your brain spatial capabilities to figure out where things go. That's whole brain. But the information on it, is data, right? But then even sometimes we write the data. So if you write the data, how much do you know about it? It's just fluency, right? So remember, the spirit of Obeya and the Kaizen mindset is having a proper awareness of problems and an extremely low tolerance to the current condition is the proper attitude for an Obeya leader. And by the way, a lean leader. Probably a leader of any kind, right? Does that kind of make sense? So lastly, I'm going to kind of wrap it up with some of the benefits. So the Obeya promotes coordination, strategy, coordination of the strategy, flexibility while leveraging the expertise and support of teammates from diverse areas. And for those that the cognitive science behind it, the only true competitive advantage in diversity is cognitive diversity. Getting people who think differently together. Secondly, Obeya promotes full and effective utilization of resources and talents, okay? In order to reach the full potential of the organization, and which is critical if you're going to be a lean organization. A lean organization, by its very nature, is always seeking to achieve its full potential. The ability to maintain proper problem awareness in real time or near real time. And what good is being proper problem aware if you're not going to do anything about it? So it's also so you can solve problems. Monitor value creation, the flow of value, opportunities, the voice of your customer, the voice of the business, the voice of your partners, the voice of your stakeholders, the voice of your people. Listen to team member concerns. On the other way around, the team members get to listen to your concerns. Collaborate and make discoveries. That's a different concept, isn't it? Make discoveries to resolve problems, accelerate leader and team member development together, accelerates leadership development, it accelerates the culture, and the result of that is that the effective solutions and actions can be developed and implemented quickly. Okay? And value is delivered. This is one I got from Art Byrne, if you're an Art Byrne fan. Lean really is about delivering value with velocity. And so you have to develop every resource to its full potential in order to do that. And that takes focus, right? Now, up until this moment, have I said, other than maybe pointing at it, anything about main KPIs and all that kind of stuff? Nope. It's different, isn't it? Just something for you to think about. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget these guys. You have your version of this. The guys that do the work every day. If part of your Obeya isn't focused on problem solving to help every person that does the work of the organization have a better day tomorrow than they had today, then we're missing the boat. Because believe it or not, for most of you said that you struggle with capacity. Guys, this is where your capacity is at, right here. And the burdens and the struggles that these guys experience every day. So, with that, talk about timing. Never did blow me a kiss. So, thank you for allowing me to share. What questions can I answer for you? I did it in an hour.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, on a 10 minutes pour prendre des questions. Je vous rappelle que pour la traduction simultanée, s'il vous plaît, déplacez-vous dans les 2 allées pour poser vos questions au micro pour faciliter la traduction. Et après ça, on va prendre la pause. Il y aura d'autres occasions là, de parler à Sam et au cocktail de la même façon. Donc, qui veut briser la glace et se déplacer?
Alors, thank you very much. It was a really great conference. We really enjoyed what we have seen. I have a question. I think that your focus on the OER route that we described after your classes is much more about a challenge or a product or issues that you have with some part of the business. Okay, so and here in Quebec, especially in the healthcare, we have some structure of our OER room, more group around the functions. And I think that there is a gap between what you describe and what you have been able to achieve with this structure and what we have here. Because we have just tried to reproduce with our OER rooms, especially the tactical one, exactly the functional structure that we have. So can you just a little bit go on this idea and to see what is the best focus that we should have? What are the objects that we should deal with?
At the focus OBEA?
Yes.
Okay, 2 things. Here, process-to-process connection. How well, find problems in what you receive as a customer, and out of respect, don't accept it if it isn't perfect for your use. But out of respect, let the preceding process know that there is an error in the information material or what have you. And then work together to solve that problem for both of you. Okay? The other thing, what are the things that your team members struggle with every day? And just pick 1 or 2 that you can work together on. The key here is problem solve that so that it doesn't come back again. Because we love problems, but we want the challenge of new problems every day. So at the focus OBEA, focus on this and this. The connection with the process that brings things to you, that delivers to you, and then work on your process problems.
So it's about value stream, about processes.
Yeah, it's mostly in the value stream. It's mostly about the connection between 2 processes in the value stream. The one directly connected to you, and then your own process, right? Your own process box, right? How well do you do what you do? What is your cycle time? What is your changeover time? And so forth. So focus first on the things that impact you from outside and the things that your people are struggling with every day. And little by little, day by day, all those problems start to go away. That rhymed.
That's an important lesson.
Présentement, plusieurs d'entre vous travaillons sur des représentations de trajectoires clientèle. Vous avez déjà cartographié vos trajectoires, donc c'est votre process to process. Donc à partir de nos trajectoires, on est capable d'identifier notre valeur, nos indicateurs, et là on devient transversal. Au lieu d'avoir juste dans une direction, on est vraiment sur le focus du client et c'est sur l'ensemble des trajectoires. Donc, on migre tranquillement vers... mais au début, Marie-Hélène, tu sais, on était en transformation et c'est pour ça qu'on les a mis plus par direction. Merci.
Oui?
Là, je vais y aller en français, parce que je ne connais pas tous les termes en anglais.
En japonais?
En japonais. Je voulais vous demander à quelle étape vous situez, vous allez intégrer les notions de judoka, la loi de l'État, les 5 S. Est-ce que ça va être à l'étape des focus ou ça va être dans les Kaizen Group? Je ne sais pas si c'est clair cette question.
Repeat a little bit. Yeah.
Repeat the end.
Not the whole thing, just the major objectives.
I would like to know at which level you talk about the little law, thank you, la loi des contraintes.
Constraint law.
Theory of constraints.
Merci. And the 5S.
Okay, gotcha. You were speaking English the whole time. Okay. So we introduced, there are 2 conditions that when I introduce 5S. The first time that I introduce 5S is if you have a dangerous environment. Okay, and the reason why we do it is safety. Remember, with any tool, they're only countermeasures to a problem. So you must first have a problem. Otherwise, it won't stick. You'll have to highly manage it. So a very unsafe environment, when do people have accidents? When they're unfamiliar with the environment, when they're unfamiliar with the work, right? So if the environment is dangerous, we will do 5S to create, out of respect, a safe environment. The other time we introduce 5S is with standards. So the purpose of 5S is to create a visual management tool to see if I'm in my standard. Is my workplace standardized? Do I have what I need? Everything, everything has a place and everything is in its place, right? So I can do my work. We do not do 5S because everybody says that's the first thing you do, okay? But that also includes 5S for information as well. Remember what Casey Nung Sensei said, remember the right information at the right time in the right amount, right? It has to be just in time. So we introduce 5S and the lean tools, the tools are introduced when they're needed. So in 5S, the term is shitsuki, right? And shitsuki means self-discipline. So all the old senseis would tell you, you only need to do 4S because if you do 4S well, it self-disciplines itself. But if you try to do it just because it's a tool, then now you have to have the 5th S, which is now you have to manage it instead of it managing itself. So when you have standards, you have to now control, say, what does right look like?
C'est bon. On va s'arrêter maintenant. Merci beaucoup. Puis Sam va revenir à la toute fin.